Why do they want to kill us? Why this gigantic effort to kill Jews? Right? Where does anti-Semitism come from? And I think all of the explanations you have heard over the years for why there's anti-Semitism are dead wrong. Every single one of them. So you've heard the scapegoat explanation, and people are jealous, and religious Jews are just too weird, and that produces hate, and this and that. I think they're all wrong. Remember where the law of Moses comes from. It's a slave revolt. That's right. It's a slave revolt. Okay? The Israelites were slaves of Pharaoh with the help of God and led by Moses. They organize a revolt. They escape to freedom in the Sinai desert. And once they become free, they receive from God a new law. This is the law of the escaped slaves. It's a law designed to end oppression. Okay? Well, that is correct. That is correct. The effect of this law within the West over the course of 25 centuries transformed the most cruel, most repressive, most unequal, most barbaric societies on planet Earth, which were the ancient Greco-Roman societies, societies that thought that it was fun, you know, like going to the movies to watch a human being get eaten by a lion, right? These psychopathic societies, okay? The Jews transformed those societies, which were the worst, into the best societies we've ever had, which are the modern Western democratic societies. You did that. Your ancestors did that. Okay, so how do people who want to make us all slaves feel about the Jewish movement? Remember, these people love thinking of themselves as descendants of the Greco-Romans. That's what they teach us in school to be proud of the ancestral Greco-Roman past. And they teach us the lie that the Greco-Romans invented democracy. Baloney. Modern democracy, yes, the word demokratia is a Greek word, but the system they had is not our system at all. Okay? There's a census from late 4th century Athenian Empire census that documented 21,000 citizens, 10,000 medics. The medics were semi-free or semi-slaves, depending on your political predilection. You can choose your favorite term. And 400,000 slaves. That was not a democracy. And they were incredibly cruel. The Greeks had death camps. The mines south of Athens in Laurium were butchering tens of thousands of slaves, forcing them to go into the earth over and over again until they dropped dead. Okay? Those were the Greeks. Now, necessarily, the people who want to enslave us all in any generation of human history have understood that the Jewish movement is their enemy. Because the Jews have been teaching Westerners that we can be free. And they have inherited to us a system of ethics and a body of law that helps us fight oppression. Modern democracy doesn't come from the Greeks. Modern democracy comes from Leviticus 19:18, which Rabbi Hillel the Elder, the most influential rabbi of all time, identified in the 1st century BC as the principle from which the entire Torah and the entire Halakha comes from. Okay? And Leviticus 19:18 says, you shall love your neighbor as you love yourself. Once you decide that you must love your neighbor as you love yourself, all of modern Western political thought follows. Because that principle requires that we all be equal under the law, that we all have political representation, that we all have equal access to the courts, and that we all have suffrage, and so on and so forth. So that's the principle that builds modern democracy. Whereas the Greeks had a political theory that said that Greeks were Übermenschen, that they were biologically superior to barbarians, and therefore they should enslave all barbarians. This is what the Greeks believed. They were fundamental racists. Okay? So the reason that you are persecuted, the reason October 7th happened, the reason the Shoah happened, is that the people who want to enslave us all understand that the Jewish movement is what stands between the freedom of all Westerners and slavery. They understand that. The ancient pagans of the Western world would borrow religions from each other as if they were, fashions to dress different ways. They had no problem with other people's religions, but they had a problem with the Jewish religion. Why? Because the Jewish religion is teaching people to be free, and those people were making slaves. You see? Yes, I would say that the Jewish movement is still the light to the nations. Right. It's still the light unto the nations, and these people understand. The people killing you understand that the way to establish a permanently repressive political structure, one from which we cannot rise up again, requires getting rid of you. So the Shoah happened, yes, because you have terrible enemies who want to kill you, but also because the Jews are bad at defending themselves. And every generation of Jews concludes that it's all over now. Thank God. People in the early 20th century would say to themselves, we're in the modern world now. Fantastic. Anti-Semitism is on the wane. They made us citizens now. We're out of the ghettos. We're becoming professionals. We're joining Christian society. Great. It's all over. Holocaust was right around the corner. Okay? What just happened on October 7th? Same thing. Oh, the Abraham Accords. Oh, great. Now we're going to be friends with the Arabs. We're signing peace accords. The world is going to be different. Trump is on our side. Oh, yeah, fantastic. October 7th. This is not going to stop until we win. You have to understand that. We have to communicate with all Westerners. This model has to be communicated to all Westerners, because the day that Westerners understand that fighting anti-Semitism is the same thing as Western self-defense, right, that's when we win. They will not defend you as charity to you. They won't do it. They have to fight anti-Semitism from an understanding that they're fighting for their own selves, for their own families, for their children and grandchildren. Okay? If they can be made to understand that the fight against anti-Semitism is the fight for their own freedom, then we win.